Welcome, everyone. Today, we're thrilled to have William Vlach, author of the groundbreaking new novel, The Naked Greek. This book combines history, memoir, and personal reflection in a way that speaks to universal themes of identifying and belonging. And so, we have here William to share the journey, the insights, and everything that we need to know about the book. So, let's get started.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello there, William.
Hi, good to see you.
So, I'm also honored and flattered to conduct this uh,
Mm,
interview with you. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and start this intriguing and interesting topic for it today. So, William, you had this, The Naked Greek book. It is a deeply personal and complex novel, I believe. So, what inspires you to write this book?
Thank you for the question. This book is a culmination of 15 years, 16 years of writing and thinking through these issues. And the source of it is my own experience of being adopted, not knowing who my biological family was, and then trying to find them. So that's this, and then finding them, and they were Greek. So I heard all these stories and I went through this process of finding family, found them, and then I didn't understand the idea of being Greek because I'd never been around Greeks. So this novel is a combination of finding the family, what the character went through. It's an auto fiction, so it's me, but it's not me kind of thing. What they went through looking for family and finding them in Greece and in the United States, combined with the history of Greece, of Greekness, going back to the earliest part of Greece, which is the earliest part of Europe, which is in Crete, and little stories. So the stories go back and forth between the character's experience. His name's Michael, not William. His name's Michael, finding family and what happens. And the alternative stories, vignettes, 4 or 5 pages, are the history of Greece. So
Mm.
it's the character as well as my own way of trying to understand this experience, understand the history of Greece, understand the history of the experience of trying to find family. And there it is.
That's such a powerful starting point, William. It's interesting how your personal experiences and your curiosity of bringing out the history of Greece um, really create such masterpiece like this,
Mm,
right?
thank you. Thank you.
So that's really a powerful starting point for me. So now, the novel intertwines personal storytelling and historical episodes. So why was it important for you to bring history into the narrative?
What a good, wonderful question. That is the character as well as my own effort to understand a culture that goes back 2,000, 3,000 years. Because you have the current situation of people who are part Greek or half Greek but there's not an understanding of how everybody got here going back 2,000, 3,000 years. So the character wants to understand all this as well as I do. So the character goes back. And
Yeah.
then because the history is so complex, it would be I'll be honest with you, it'd be a very boring novel if it was just this happened in 400 BC and that happened in 100 AD. So each vignette goes back and forth from intense tragedy to comedy to surrealism. So you go through all these things, and there's wars, and there's important things, and people falling in love, but also there's comedy and satire. And that is any culture. Every culture has tragedy, love, absurd things that happen. And so that's what happens in this.
Mm, I agree. I absolutely agree with that. I also find sometimes I also find history a bit, boring,
Yeah,
but
it can be
it
boring.
really
Yeah.
depends. It really depends on how the author really bring it out, something uh intriguing and adding some informations in it. trying to play on the book, the history book. And it's really fascinating how history can feel us alive when tied to
That's
our personal narratives. So the connection to something greater is so compelling,
Thank you for saying
right?
that. That's exactly what's going. And then because as I finished it and went over it, I said, I don't want it so hard to understand, even though it's fun. But if you don't understand the history, I've got to put something in there. So at the start of each vignette is a little one-liner about what happened in 400 AD or 400 BC, whatever. And then at the back end of the book, if you don't want to read this, that's fine. There is a bibliography of the books that were used to bring this in, as well as a glossary that uses that looks at the words that are used. So if you're a little bit academic minded, you can go back and at the end of the book and figure out what's going on, or you can just read it for fun.
Yeah. I, I totally agree with that. Thank you so much for sharing your insight about that. I couldn't agree with that. That's really true.
Great,
And
great.
also, um, for sure, our readers out there, our audiences right now, praised the book for its emotional depth and lyrical prose. As I also can see it on the Amazon, I also have seen some reviews of the book. How did you develop your unique style of storytelling?
So first I'm going to show the book so you can see it. This is the book. Great fun to write.
Wow.
Really fun to write. Hope fun to read. Um, that particular writing style, I started off doing short stories and poetry, and went more towards novels than went into westerns. So my whole approach on writing is, where my whole approach on writing, there's so much in the world to experience, and it doesn't have to be just one. I understand westerns. I understand psychology. So I went to look at all kinds of things, from haiku poetry to Japanese poetry to historical novels, and it all kind of focused into this one book. All the poetry, all the ideas about history into this one book. So there's a lot in there. There's a lot and fun.
Thank you for that. Your influence and your creativity definitely shine through your work. That really blends of surreal and personal touch of such deep kind of book like this. So, do you think your background in psychology really gives you an edge in crafting the
Wonderful
characters in the
question.
book?
That's okay. That's a wonderful question. 'Cause I'm a clinical psychologist for many, many years, and I've written nonfiction about that. I do a lot of work with police. So I do work on police psychology. I've done some work on a range of things, including genocide. And the clinical work has it pushes me into empathy with another person. So if you're in a clinical hour with somebody, you really want to understand them. So you have to open your soul up to who they are. Well, the same thing, you can do it in one's imagination about characters. And that's what I try to do with the writing, especially this one, is to open my idea, my mind's eye to their experience, to their soul. So it's a similar kind of thing between if you're doing clinical work, you want to really understand that actual human being. And if you're doing fictional work, you want to understand that character that you've created. So that works together like that. Yeah, it's exciting.
Yes, it is. Thank you so much. You were not just creating a book, just a book. You also put your authenticity of your experience, your own
Mhm.
passion in it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Great interview. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Mhm. Okay, and so the title. Let's talk about the title, "The
You
Naked
got it.
Greek." It is intriguing.
It's wonderful.
How did you decide on this title, and what does it symbolizes?
That's a wonderful question, and I've played with that because it's the idea of rawness, naked, raw. Who is this Greek? And in the story, the character Michael attends the funeral of his father, very start of the book. He attends the funeral of his father, and he has no idea who all the people are in the church, in the Greek Orthodox Church. And he knows their relatives, cousins, sisters, brothers. So there's all of that. And then it's like, so who are these people? Who are these people? Who was his father? Who he didn't know his father. Who was his father? Who is that man in that casket? He doesn't know. He doesn't know his roots.
Mhm.
So the idea of the nakedness is it's being raw. It's being he is to find out who he is in his family, he has to open himself up and be absolutely raw. He has to understand this. He wants to understand his father. Who is this man? Raw. He wants to understand the culture, just down to the essence of it. So that's the symbol of the naked Greek. And it's the subtitles a quest for origin. So it's the rawness, what's the truth, and let's do this quest. And the
That's
other
such
thing
a
is,
striking metaphor. Go ahead.
and the other part is these vignettes. Each historical one is an image of his father at that time in Greek history. So at the very earliest, he has the name John, but that's in Manoah, and all the way to Saint John, all the way to Giannis, this is John, or the man that fights the Turks in Greece, and all of those are his imagination, my imagination too, of his father. So it's a dialogue with his father in history. So it's who's and the rawness is the nakedness. And then he is also
Mm,
going into himself to understand himself in a raw way. Who am I? What's really my background that's been hidden from, been clothed over, been veiled from me, the character. So who are these people? Who am I? Is what the novel's about.
that makes sense to me now. The title also represents the stripping away of the layers of the identity and the pretense to uncover the raw truth of who we are. So
Yeah, that's it. And I
thank you. That
assume
makes sense.
good. And I assume everybody has a family background or cultural background. Most everybody, and probably everybody that's been hidden and been veiled. We just don't know. We don't know the genealogy. We don't know the history. And this is the idea that we can all do that, find that. But here's the tricky part in the novel, and I think it's true.
Mhm.
To find that, there has to be disobedience. To go after that, deeply, there's a reason these things are hidden. Maybe family stories, family secrets, maybe traditions. But to really find out, you have to disobey the culture and you have to go deep into it. And that's what he did in the character. So one part is disobedience, and the other is the yearning for knowing the truth.
This is really interesting, and I really encourage the viewers and our readers out there to get a copy of this book because it's really is interesting, and I think you'll get a lot of from this book. It's just not a simple historical Greek
No,
book, but you would also get a moral in the depth of this book. Thank you so much for
well said.
that. And go ahead.
Well said. Thank you.
hmm Thank you. And what else? We can have it here. Mm, Finally, what do you hope for the readers take away from the Naked Creek?
Take away from it.
Yeah.
So the first thing, several layers here. I'll just do the first couple. The first is just the joy of the experience of going on this ride. Just to enjoy the humor, the absurdity, to feel the pain at times, to feel the hope and idealism of the book. So just at one level, just joy, just enjoy the ride. And then a deeper level is what it triggers inside of what we want to see, what someone else wants to see about their own background. And third, and this is the history of it, is this book contains so much about how we all got here. And that's why I've got that bibliography of all these books that puts it in historical context. So top of the list is have a good ride, have fun.
That's such a profound message for our dear readers, because life is really a continuous journey of discovery and such. So thank you so much for sharing your insights about the Naked Greek. It is a powerful, thought-provoking novel that readers won't want to miss.
Thank
I
you.
swear. So it's available now through the Amazon
Uh,
platform, right?
yes, and
Mm.
it
Well,
will be
thank you so
coming out,
much.
and it'll be coming out in bookstores too soon. Both,
Wonderful.
yeah,
This is
excellent,
going to be flexible availability on other social platforms.
very
So
good.
congratulations about this book for creating such a masterpiece, William. And I know for sure everyone out there is looking forward for more crafts from you.
And there will be more.
Thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time. You have a wonderful day and see you soon for more interviews.
Excellent. Really appreciate this. Thank you so much.